I mean, all of a sudden now, a team that was the second worst team in the NFL in sacks, the amount of pressure that you're going to get from that crew up front could be lethal. Not to mention you're working in Milton Williams. Not to mention it's probably the last year for Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, and you're ushering in sort of the new era.
Whoa!
Yes, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome on in Sports Take, your place to be at high noon. D Gun, B Brooks, R Ellis, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. And gee, did anything happen last night? I can't. It was kind of a slow night, right? I mean,
bro, slowest night I've ever seen in my life.
I fell asleep. I don't know what happened.
Phillies, Sixers, Eagles.
I was doing dishes.
And then today's probably the best day ever because the Flyers at this point, their season ends today. So
I didn't think we'd be mentioning the Flyers a 1 minute into the show. A Flyers record.
You know I got to do it, man. I got to talk the Blue Line, and it's over. This season's over.
Oh, thank God! But man, guys, first off, what a day and what a fun day we had in general. Like I count myself very lucky to do what we do and blessed. I wear a bracelet that says "Get to," and it's a nice little reminder to myself that I get to do this for a living, and I appreciate the fact that I get to do this for a living. And
I can't believe you guys listen to me. That's crazy.
Wait, what did you say?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Well, what did you say?
I said you guys listen to me sometimes.
Oh,
yes. So
I say it all the time, though, Barrett. Since I've told you this all the time, it's a blessing to be able to do what we do. And like I said, to do it with you guys, that's like the cherry on top of the Sunday.
It is bonus time, that's for sure. Yeah. So we have a great day yesterday. It started with Sports Take. We had Ray Didinger on, which always is fun for sure. And Barrett, you get to sit next and hang out with Ray Diddy each and every after every Eagles game. But that was awesome. All the fun that we had from Ocean Resort, Casino Resort, and from Top Swing Golf, Derek, yesterday in Atlantic City. I tell everybody, stop out, man. It is spectacular. Our rooms were spectacular. The food was spectacular. The service, and kudos to everybody who stopped out, man. And I don't just mean the folks, and I give props and love to the folks who took the luxury, bus down there for us. But there were a ton of people there for our live show, man. And we blew it out of the water, man. We had a band. We had a full-blown show, man.
Buffet.
The whole thing, man. It was just spectacular, and props to everybody involved, man. Last night it was wild. We did about 7 hours of shows.
Oh my goodness,
Gunner. I know Barrett, you were cranking at NBC Sports Philadelphia, but you know
Rockin'.
What? I used the wrong word. I think I meant. Did I mention work? It wasn't work. It was fun.
Right.
Yeah. It was fun, and these are the kind of days you love. You love to be able to react to this kind of stuff. You love to be able to talk about it because, look, we were fed a big content sandwich yesterday, guys, and it was absolutely tasty. It hit the spot. So let's dive into this thing first. Barrett, your surprise level, let me backtrack to Wednesday. We came on the air Wednesday for Sports Take, and the first thing I said to you guys is, here's what we do know. None of us know exactly how he's going to do. Like, he's aggressive and he's unpredictable, right? And that was exactly the way last night played out. First, the trade up because they sensed that Baltimore was going to pounce on Jordan Davis. They move up. They get in front of him. They take him there at 13. And just when you're kind of dusting yourself off and catching your breath and analyzing that move, not too much longer after that, here comes A.J. Brown, it's like a roundhouse right. You're like, whoa. And props. By the way, Barrett, I know you didn't get a chance to hear this, but once the Eagles made the trade, they got Jordan Davis, and once we were getting close, we heard that there may be something in the offing. Derek nailed it. He said, I guarantee when they made the trade up to get Jordan Davis, he said, this will be the pick. He nailed it about 15 minutes before the Eagles actually made the pick, before anybody was reporting it. So kudos to D Gun on that one, as always. But then we get the A.J. Brown thing. And man, all of a sudden, that night just got flipped on its ear last night, man.
No question, and I'm on air with Ray, and we're talking it out, and just for them, we were going to be on for 5 minutes before their pick, waiting for them to pick, and then, probably about 5 or 10 minutes afterwards. And I'm talking to Ray during that time period. And it was like, what, 13? And we talk about Eagles are traded. I'm like, oh, man, so we had to run into the edit base. So I'm sitting in the edit base, getting ready. We're talking it out and say, yeah, they're trading up. And I said, who do you think the Eagles are looking at? And, this is my prediction. I was totally wrong. My prediction, I said, look, I see, Jermaine Johnson sitting there, and I see Kyle Hamilton sitting there. It was, it was just over my head that they were talking Jordan Davis, because I thought Jordan Davis was a guy. He looked like he could be, all world, but can he keep his weight down? Can he be more than just a two-down player? And lo and behold, from out of nowhere, Jordan Davis and Ray predicted. Ray said, "Well, I those two players would be franchise-changing players, but I really think that the Eagles are interested in getting Davis." And this is why I'm talking about Davis. Davis can really fit the defense that Gannon wants to run. Fletcher talked about, all right, it's really not conducive to my skill set. He wants guys to stay in their gap and be gap disciplined, when I'm a guy that wants to one gap, get up the field and create havoc.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, if you look at Gannon and his defense, a lot of the reason why Jannard Avery had so much run last year is because he was that hybrid guy that was a rusher / linebacker. And that's exactly what they went out and got, with free agency. Mm-hmm. And then they now have a guy in the middle of that defense who can not just play the one technique or the three technique, but he can actually play a head up zero technique, a one. That puts you right in line to going out there and playing a 3-3 defense. 3 linebackers, 3 defensive linemen. Now you got Fletcher Cox and whoever on the edges. I mean, rushing the passer there. Then you have a guy on the outside being able to rush. And it looks like they're blitzing, but they're not blitzing. They're sending 4 guys, but it actually looks like a blitz to the defense, to the offense. So this fits exactly what Gannon wants to do, exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that, and we went over some of this last night, Degon, but you look at the way this is going to work, and Barry, you could speak to this as an offensive lineman better than anybody else, but you throw Davis in there at the nose, and you could surround him with Fletcher Cox and Hargrave, and then start working your way out here with whether it's Brandon Graham, whether it's Sweat, however you want to use Reddick. I mean, all of a sudden now, a team that was the second worst team in the NFL in sacks, the amount of pressure that you're going to get from that crew up front could be lethal. Not to mention you're working in Milton Williams. Not to mention it's probably the last year for Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, and you're ushering in sort of the new era with Williams and now Davis. There's a lot of reasons to like this move, man.
Here's the two things that I take away from this. Number one, we talked about, and Barrett brought up about Jordan Davis's deficiency of taking plays off at times. He wasn't as dominant as he should have been, and maybe that's because of the arsenal of people around him. He felt maybe, he didn't have to be as lethal as he could. But, you're going to have to control his weight, number one. You got to keep his weight around that 330 range. Now, he said he lost like 20 pounds before the draft. So you're going to have to Eagles nutritionists and the training staff are going to have to keep an eye on his weight. Number two, who better to learn the D tackle position from than proven commodities like Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, 2 guys who have been Pro Bowlers. Okay. Now, when you couple in Milton Williams, all right, I believe that this is going to be the last year for Fletcher or Javon or both. Could be the last year. They're both in the last years of their contracts. This could be the last years of them being in an Eagles uniform. So the youth movement will be ready. Milton already has that 1 year of experience, and he played well, especially the second half of the season. Now you've got this kid coming in who's 6'6", 340, and, you got some fresh legs, and he doesn't have – there's pressure on him because he's a first-round pick, but the pressure comes off of him because he's got 2 guys in front of him making big money.
Pro Bowlers.
So, Pro Bowlers, 2 Pro Bowlers in front of him. So, when people look at him, you have expectations of him, but they're not magnified as much as they would be had there been nobody in front of him, and he was going to be plugged right in as your immediate starter, because that's not going to be the case. All that did was enhance that D tackle rotation, which will make all of these guys that much fresher in the fourth quarter.
No question.
I'm going to tell you this too. Rob, D-Gun, if you look up Bruce Smith's story, and if I was them, I would tell them, have this guy look up Bruce Smith and the dominant player that he became when he lost all the weight. He had blew up, got up to 300 pounds. He was comfortable playing actually around 270, 265, 270, 275, the heaviest. He was more explosive then. Now, leaving Virginia Tech, he used to get on a treadmill or one of those walkers and go for like an hour at a time just so he can get down. And it made him a dominant player. If they're smart, they're going to go in. I would have them look up that whole story on how Bruce Smith became the Bruce Smith that we know from Buffalo, man. And it was a perfect analysis for him to see what type of player he can be if he lost the weight. Number two, looking at him, and Jordan Davis understands, just researching this kid, looking at this kid, he's a mama's boy that listens to his mom. His mom gonna say lose weight, he gonna lose the weight. And this is why I feel comfortable with having him on the team. Is because he actually lost weight going into the playoffs, going into that time where you get a little time in between when school's out and you're going into the bowl season. He actually cut like 15, 20 pounds going into then because he had blown up over 350 when he was playing there towards the end of the season. So he started to lose weight even then and became a more dominant player after that when he started losing weight. So he has seen the results of him being at a smaller weight, how dominant he can be towards the end of the season when, everybody was counting on him when they went to win that championship. We just brought a national champion into the fold.
Yeah, you go ahead, Barry. Finish.
That's what it is. A national champion into the fold right now.
Yeah, well said. You look at it, it's an interesting thing because you're going to look at the numbers and you're going to be a little bit underwhelmed, right? We talked about this yesterday. The sack total, 7 in 4 seasons. Keep in mind he's a defensive tackle. 7 in 4 seasons at Georgia. Only played 38% of the snaps at Georgia last year as a senior. 2021, 32 tackles, 5 tackles for losses, 2 sacks, 14 games. But there's a couple things to keep in mind. One, he's a defensive tackle, which means the sack numbers aren't going to be crazy. 2, he's playing on a Georgia defense that's loaded, that the defensive coordinator and the head coach are rotating guys in to get guys touches. 3, they're up in games at times where he's going to be out of there. Now, do I think he's going to be in the beginning of his career and on every passing down? No, I don't. He's going to be the guy who stuffs the run, who occupies 2 blockers and lets everybody else do their thing. But none of those things mean to me he can't get after the quarterback. He can't at some point become a 3-down defensive lineman. I think it's going to be a maturation process. Barrett, you're right. He's got to be able to take care of his weight. That's on him. There's no excuse as far as that goes. He's got to keep up with that. Apparently, he saw the light at the end of the season, and he carried that over to the combine. So maybe he's grown up a little bit. Maybe when he was 19, he wasn't real mature about this, but maybe he's a little bit more dialed in.
When you look at his bio, one thing we have to keep an eye on, and I'm sure people are going to play this up. He loves the candy Swedish fish.
Oh, geez.
That's not good for a guy that size. So they're going to have to keep an eye on that. He's a connoisseur of Swedish fish. Now, I like Swedish fish every now and then, but they have a great nutrition team. They have a great. I don't know if you've ever eaten in a cafeteria, Rob.
It's
I know Barrett had, but their food is really good. And Tim is the head chef there, and they do a great job of providing the salads, the fruits, and all this stuff for these players. Smoothies, all these protein smoothies and stuff like that. So once they get them on a diet plan, and if they get them in the right weight training program, this kid, sky's the limits for what he's capable of doing for this team.
Yeah, it's a big time move. We talk. Hi, Mrs. Brooks.
Yeah,
hey, Mrs. Brooks.
Snuck it in there.
Happy Friday.
Always good to hang out with her and have her hang out with us. That's for sure.
Yep.
We mentioned this yesterday. How he reads the room very well. For what they go into it, we like X, Y, and Z. And hey, if X and Y are gone and Z's still there, and you think a team picking 2 spots ahead of you, for example, is going to grab Z, they make a move. And they go up, they get Jordan Davis, they get the guy that they wanted. They always put a premium on defensive line. That's one of the consistency, linebacker, whatever. They go up and they get him. And now all of a sudden, you think about what Jordan Davis brings with a guy who got double-digit sacks the last 2 years in Hassan Reddick. Yes, there are still holes. Nobody's going to deny that. They also make a move and get Kazir White. This is where you start looking at the secondary, I think, here. and tonight. We'll
You
get
have
into
to.
tonight. Yeah, we'll get into
yeah.
tonight in a little bit, and free agents that are still available. But it's not a complete project right now. But when you look at the totality of just last night, you upgraded your defense in a big way with a freakish athletic guy. I mean, you talk to anybody going into this draft, the most freaky athlete is Jordan Davis of anybody. And then, which, we're going to really dig into, is the A.J. Brown move. And they go out and they get a legitimate compliment with Devontae Smith now, which to me is a total game changer for Jalen Hurts to go out and get an established, I think, star receiver in A.J. Brown.
Well, this has been in the works. Howie said last night, it took him 15 minutes to do the deal. No, yeah, appreciate that, Frank. This is probably like a week and a half process. I mean, why would Jalen Hurts be having a catch with Brown, and being as public as it was?
Yeah.
Smith, knowing about this. Just putting things, and thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Stu Vision,
a lot of love for Mama Brooks. We love it.
I really, really, I appreciate everyone, taking on my mom, I really appreciate that. But when you look at it, this has been in the works for a couple of weeks. And for Howie to be as confident as he was that he was going to get the job done, to get the deal done, you could tell in this, you could tell he was a little bit arrogant in how he approached the draft. Remember everything he talked about for the draft? We got some irons in the fire. We know what we're going to do. We know the direction we're going to go. We know the needs that we have. And he was somewhat, kind of cocky, you know what I'm saying? And his approach to this draft. He said, don't worry about it. I got this. Well, evidently he did, and we saw what he did. Yes, Kyle Hamilton was sitting right there. And I mean, remember I told you about my boy, Quay Walker. I told you I thought
first linebacker taken off the board.
He was the first one taken. I told you he was
no,
a
you
dream.
You nailed it.
But this is a great situation for this team. Although they only have 4 picks left in this draft, they're going to have to go to free agency. They're going to have to.
No question. There's no question. When you look at them going out to get an A.J. Brown, if you guys remember, I told you yesterday, I said, I guarantee you Howie's been on the phone for weeks trying to make a deal of some kind. Now, over the last 7 drafts, including last night in the first round, Howie has now made moves in 4 of the last 7. He dropped out once and stayed pat twice. The fact that you get an A.J. Brown, especially when you look at the way the board fell, when they had a run of receivers, Garrett Wilson, Chris, Olave.
How about Drake London being the first?
I still don't understand that.
It's a terrible draft.
Don't get that one.
What is Atlanta doing? Well, I mean, come on.
But you go out and you get an A.J. Brown who's 24 years old. He's right there. He's the age of the Eagles' young nucleus of receivers.
Yep.
Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, John Hightower. And who better to mentor these young receivers than somebody who is of their age, who thinks like them, who understands their language. And the biggest motivator for these young guys is now that this 24-year-old guy who's coming in, who's already proven himself, has a $100 million contract coming in as well. Those guys have to be thinking, AJ, what do I need to do to get $100 million someday? That's motivation in itself. I mean, players talk about they play for the love of the game. Bottom line is, your career is short-lived. You're playing for as much money as you can get in a short period of time. Who better to talk to about how to go about your business to get it? The work ethic, not just in the games, not just on the practice field during a season, but conditioning off season as well. Keeping your nose clean, staying out of trouble, so you make yourself more marketable for an organization. That was a perfect get. You got a guy who right now who's better than any receiver that was taken in the first round.
He's proven.
These are unproven commodities. We think they're going to be good receivers in the National Football League. You don't know for sure because you're going to have a few busts as well.
Yeah.
This guy's already done it for a few years. He's been a 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah.
So he's done it. So these guys definitely should be gravitating towards him if they want to enhance their game and to enhance their financial status.
What I keep
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, how about this? This is real quick. How about he was under the tutelage for Julio Jones for a year?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
one of the best that ever did it.
I can't get past what this means for Devontae Smith to be able to take the top off of this.
Yep.
I mean, AJ Brown is so good underneath. He's so good yards after catch. He's so good at contested passes. and you're going to have to occupy and know where he is underneath. Now, all of a sudden, man, this is where we're really going to see like peak Devontae Smith, Alabama guy, the last 2 years of his career there. I'm telling you, this is just going to open things up for him in a crazy way.
Don't start me, man. Don't start me on what it does to this offense, on how this really enhances not just Smith on the other side. We're talking about the slot receiver, the new slot receiver, the dog mentality slot receiver. What's his name?
Pascal.
Pascal. Yeah. What it's going to do for him. But imagine what it's going to do for the run game, where now you got to make a decision. You got to make a business decision as a defensive coordinator. Do you stop the pass when you have a guy like A.J. Brown who can get open, who uses his body, who took over in the playoff game and had over 100 yards in the playoff game? Or do you go out and get the slim assassin or whatever they call Smith, get him.
Slim Reaper.
Slim Reaper, that's the name, Slim Reaper. Then you have Dallas Goedert sitting there in the middle of the offense.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, you can run the rock with one of the best offensive lines in the league. Yeah. And with a quarterback that's virtually a weapon, a running back, in itself. And plus, I'm telling people right now, don't lose your faith on Jalen Hurts. I know everybody wants him out of here, but Jalen Hurts is going to show a lot of people. All right, I told you so. Don't get on my bandwagon now. You guys stay on the outskirts and let me still be this guy that everybody doesn't want while I go in and become one of the better quarterbacks in the league.
Well, here's the way I look at it, Derek. And it's funny. We had this discussion last night with Seth, and Seth kind of takes umbrage with it when I phrase it this way. But it's not even meant to be a knock at Jalen Hurts. But there isn't any more excuses. Like we got to it last year, and to Jalen's defense, he didn't have enough, man. He didn't have enough on the outside, and that would apply to any quarterback. Would need more help than that. So it's
even Brady would have had a problem.
Yeah, it's not a knock on Jalen. He didn't have enough, but now all of a sudden this looks like a much more balanced offense with all the reasons Barrett just laid out with the running attack and Goddard and all that, and guys on the outside now. So if he looks mediocre or less than mediocre, then we know it's time to move on. It's a pretty simple equation. That's not hating in any way, shape, or form on Jalen Hurts. I'm very much in the camp of he deserves this year. Let's see what he's got. And I'm glad now he won't be going in with one arm tied behind his back like he had last year. It's there for you to take.
This should also get a lot of people off Jalen's back about his arm deficiency, his deep ball deficiency, because you have a trio of receivers now. You can kill people in the intermediate game. You take your deep shots to loosen up a defense but you don't have to with these guys. You look at the way Nick Sirianni ran a lot of his offense last year, a lot of those bubble screens, hitch passes, jet sweeps, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. You can run them things all day to either side of the field now, to loosen up a defense. So
how's Quez going to be? Think about Quez, D-Gun. Think about the weight is off his shoulders of being a number 2 wide receiver. He's the number 4 wide receiver now. The number 4 wide receiver now.
Yeah. Which means a guy like Jalen Reagor, you know what? Your days may be numbered, my friend.
Bye-bye.
They may be numbered.
Well,
he might beat out Greg Ward as the number 5 receiver only because he was a first-round draft pick.
Eric,
how he might try to save face.
You just turn the heat up on him even more.
Yes, you did.
You want to be on this team, man? Guess what? You got real competition now. You're not just going to be handed the job. Those days are done where you were just given the job because of your draft status and where you were taken. That's the way it should be. I give credit to the Eagles where they're not going to try and force feed this another year and just give him a position that he doesn't deserve. So, and look, God bless him if he takes it back and he shows you why he was taken there. Good.
Rob,
good problem to have.
So along the lines what I was thinking, where they knew that this trade was going to happen with A.J. Brown, with all the rumors and everything. Number one, why would they move JJ to tight end last week?
Yes.
Why would they do that? Because they knew they were going to do this, number one.
Yes.
Number two, look how easy the Eagles got off in trading for a guy that would have commanded the same amount of money that, along the lines of what the Cheetah was going to be making. We're talking about 120. He would have been commanding a lot of money. And I just sent you guys a text about what the contract might look like. Remember Teron Davenport, one of our guys,
Yeah, Teron, great dude.
Oh,
he covers the Titans for ESPN. So, yeah, he tweets out, I guess, was this from Schefter originally? I think it was from Schefter originally, maybe Barrett. But AJ Brown told Teron Davenport that the Titans offer topped at $16 million. Okay, with incentives that would have driven the deal up to 20 in that range. At 24, he was entering the final year of his deal. He'd be paid $4 million in 2022. The Eagles gave him 4 years, 100, including 57 guaranteed. So the quote from Brown is, quote, "This wasn't my fault," he told ESPN, quote, "I wanted to stay, but the deal they offered was a low offer. The deal they offered wasn't even $20 million a year," unquote.
Right. Yeah.
No, Barrett, you're right. I mean, that's the thing. That's really what this came down to. Look, we talked about this the last 2 weeks. There are plenty of guys, and he's in that category where he was a second round pick. So he's got, a bit of a lower number when he came out in 2019. But, McLaurin and Metcalf and a couple of those other guys, they're not happy with their deals either. So,
no.
And the Eagles pounce. Barrett, you're right. You don't negotiate a $100 million deal with 57 guaranteed on the fly and get it done in 10 minutes when you're on the clock last night. This was done already. It was, I think, a matter of coming to financial terms. Howie talked about it last night a little bit. He said the challenge was, on one hand, I'm trying to negotiate that deal. On the other hand, I'm trying to make moves to get up there and get Jordan Davis. I mean, there's a lot going on there. We all sit back and kind of laugh at the war room and all that, but that's a lot of pressure, man.
Well, guys, let me take this. Let me take this phone call real fast. I think I'm gonna try to get Teron on. I'm gonna try to get him on.
Yeah, see if you can hop on with us at 12:30.
12:30. See if you can get it.
Just mute yourself, Barrett. Well, Barrett, Derek, and I will talk in the meantime. Yeah, but Derek, that's the thing, man. I mean, you and I were sitting there last night as this is unfolding, and it's like the wheels start in motion, and you start thinking about what this move, what the offshoot of this is, what the offshoot of that is.
Right.
And yeah, I was looking at some odds, not to get into the whole gambling thing, but I thought this was interesting, and I'll run this past you. So after the moves that the Eagles made last night, there was a jump here, from where they were thought of initially in the rankings here, to win the NFC East and whatever it may be. So the way that they jumped, if I could find it here in all my 6,000 notes that I have. We got Barrett back. Go ahead, Barrett.
He's going to be on in 15 minutes. I'm going to send him to StreamYard.
Make sure Xander's all good, but we'll be happy to have him. I love Teron. He did a great job.
Howie also said last night, this deal with AJ Brown could only be consummated if they could agree upon the contract. That was huge.
Yeah.
And, now that you find out the numbers Tennessee was offering him compared to what the Eagles were, that was a slam dunk.
No doubt.
And Howie, of all people, who's one of the best in the business at moving numbers around, we kept talking about how they were kind of, handcuffed by the cap. All of a sudden, he found $100 million to be able to give this kid $57 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, we beat up Howie for a lot of different things, but you got to give props where props is due. That was a heist, what he basically did. Now, he gave up a lot of draft capital. Mm-hmm. They went into the draft with 10 picks, 11 picks, and they only have 4 picks left. They made one pick in the first round, so they have 4 left. So depleting, or should I say restocking the roster with youth is not going to happen this year. But you got frontline players that can help your quarterback now, help your offense right now, and hopefully take the overall team to a whole nother level. You still got to you have to address that cornerback position and that safety position, no doubt. And that's why I said last night on the show, on our draft show, that you can't address that position immediately through the draft. You've got to go out and spend some more money and get a temporary fix at both positions.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do. You're going to have to go out and get a low tier veteran who's sitting out there anxious, waiting to get back in the game, waiting to get relevant, who may have, turned up his nose at a 2-year deal 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Now he's going to be happy to take a 1-year deal, a prove-it contract like a Steve Nelson, just to stay relevant and hopefully get his numbers up in 2023.
Yeah, you play the long game, right? And the Eagles are accustomed to doing that. All right, here are the odds. I found them after digging through my mounds of notes here. So the Eagles Super Bowl odds went from 50-1 to 40-1, to win it, okay? The odds to win the NFC went from 20-1 to 18-1, and the odds to win the NFC East, for them, dropped dramatically from what they were. So, the Vegas is paying attention is my point. And, and you look at the division and I actually thought the Giants had a decent draft. We'll get into what some other teams did or whatever, but I still don't like the Giants enough to believe in them. I don't like Washington enough to believe in them.
No.
And we all know the Cowboys' shortcomings are the head coach and an owner who can't get out of his own way. So, now all of a sudden, with a pretty favorable schedule again, which the Eagles have, this thing looks pretty doable. I think a lot changed in one night. Like if we were sitting here, guys, and it was 12:30 yesterday, and I said to you, they're going to come away with Jordan Davis and A.J. Brown. You're not going to gamble on any of the receivers coming out on the draft. You're going to get a guy who's established and proven. And by the way, his numbers were down last year, A.J. Brown. He missed, 4 games with a chest injury.
Yeah.
Had he played in those games, he's over 1,000 again. Every year in his career, he would have been over 1,000 yards his first 3 years.
Hey, so we have Kaplan at 1 o'clock. So should we push? Should we push? Let me see if I can push Teron to another time. You want to go?
Well, we have Jeff McClain at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, 12:30 is good. We can break right. Yeah, we if you can do it, or we can do Barrett 2:30. Either one of those times would be great for Teron. Yep. Either one. But yeah, I mean that's really what you look at, and what the impact of this is, Gunner. And I'll any day of the week I will take proven over unproven.
No question.
And you're in a spot now where again the other part of this is the excuses aren't there for Jalen Hurts. They're also not there for Nick Sirianni. Like, to his credit, last year he adjusted and went to a running attack. And I think it was the right thing for that team to do. We know he didn't want to do that. We know the organization doesn't want to do that. But now he can be himself more. He can run the kind of offense that he wants to run with some of the personnel that he has there.
I don't think Jalen Hurts will be a complete product in 2022. He still has a learning curve. I mean, he's only been a starter for 1 year in the National Football League. But his game should be improved significantly in 2022. Especially now adding an A.J. Brown to the arsenal as well. Is he going to have some rough patches? Yes, he is. He's still going to have some growing pains, no question about that. He's not going to get many reps when he comes to the preseason. You look at a lot of teams now. They're not even playing their frontline players in the preseason anymore.
Nope, the Eagles are not the only one. Yeah, that's everybody across the. There's some exceptions, Belichick, whatever, but most teams don't now. Yeah,
right. I'm not letting Hurts play because he is a smallish quarterback. I'm not letting him play much in the preseason. So you're really not going to see what he's capable of doing until he hit the ground running in September. It has always just boggled my mind for years that when it comes to getting proven over unproven players, the New England Patriots wrote the book on this for more than a decade in terms of they told everybody, we don't care about draft picks. We'll go out and get somebody else's player, plug and play. And that's why they were so consistent for over 15 years in terms of always being a Super Bowl contender and winning 7 Super Bowls in the Tom Brady era. Mm-hmm. You saw the Rams finally do it last year. They gave up. Well, they got all the draft capital they gave up to get what they needed to get. It got them over the hump. Yep. I'm just surprised more teams haven't, really taking that approach. If you want to win or get close to winning a Super Bowl sooner, forget the draft picks. It looks nice on paper, but you really don't know how many of these guys are going to pan out. If you can afford it financially, like the Rams did. They went out. 1 year they got their cornerback, shutdown corner in Jalen Ramsey. Then they go out and they get an Odell Beckham Jr. to complement the wide receiving core. That wide receiving core was lethal, even without, you look at when OJ wasn't there, and he gets hurt in the Super Bowl.
Well, Robert Woods got hurt, Beckham got hurt, and you still survived it.
And you still couldn't stop Cooper Kupp, of all people.
Right.
Bro. But only thing is, D-Gun, right now we're giving Howard the praise, and, bro, he still got his work cut out for him because there's so many huge holes that are on this team, especially on the secondary.
Good segue, Barrett. Let's tackle a little bit of that when we get back. They are picking tonight at 51, and we do know that there's some holes. Let's dive into some guys. There's some pretty good players still on the board, man. Yeah. They could be
Dean, look at the stream. Dean's still there.
Booth,
no question.
Others. Yeah. Could there be more aggression tonight with Howie moving up? Well, let's dive into that. We're going to be joined by Adam Kaplan at 1 o'clock. Can't wait to talk to Adam. Jeff McClain, who was on with us a couple of days ago leading up to the draft, is going to give his review of what the Eagles did. That'll be at 2 o'clock.
Teron will be on when we come back.
And Teron Davenport from ESPN.com, who covers the Titans, gives us a lot of insight here on the A.J. Brown thing when we get back. Don't go anywhere. Hey, by the way, smash that like button. I want to crush it today. I see everybody on the stream. I see everybody in the comment sections We love you guys. We appreciate the support. Let's keep it rolling. But tell a friend and smash the like button because we're going to destroy it today. All right. We will do that when we get back. We are Sports Take. That's D Gunn. That's Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. We'll come back with Teron Davenport on JAKIB Media YouTube Network.